Hey everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you, and we have a second discussion video this evening. This one will be on Chris Reeve Knives. Now, I have touched on this topic 2, 3, I don't know, 4 times already, and I seem to fail in making my case that Chris Reeve Knives are worth it for what they are. So I'm going to try again and see if I can get my message across better. I'm not necessarily trying to get people who do not like Chris Reeve Knives to all of a sudden start liking them. That's not why I'm doing the video. What I'm doing this video for is to try and see if I can explain the world of Chris Reeve Knives for what they are and what those benefits are. If you were to consider getting a Chris Reeve knife. So let's talk about Chris Reeve. I mean, because he's a topic that kind of, you either love the man's work or you hate the man's work. And it's understandably so, in a sense that Chris Reeve knives, they are just a completely different animal than any other knives that you see out there. They're not even categorized as anything in particular. They're not considered custom. They're not considered production. They're not considered mid-tech. We don't know what the hell they are. All we know is that they are Chris Reeve knives. Now, Chris Reeve Knives' flagship knife for many, many years has been the Chris Reeve Sebenza 21. Which is part of now the old regime back when Chris Reeve was actually the head of the company. Now his son is now running the company and he has his own ideas, but hopefully he's going to try and keep the same value systems that his father had. So this knife here has constantly been regarded as the knife of all knives, which I think is kind of wrong in a sense that every time we say that about this knife, we are attributing the same properties as it is on, say, a regular flipper folding knife, and I think that's wrong. I mean, because if you look at this knife, it runs on ball bearings, right? It's kind of a nice bolt shut, fun flipping action kind of knife. It's a very, very smooth knife, right? But when you look at Chris Reeve knives, they don't behave the same way as a regular folder, right? I mean, this is not a fun, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a fun flipping knife, but it's not meant to be a flipping knife. You have to understand that this is Chris Reeve's version of a knife. Whatever properties you attribute to this knife cannot be attributed to this knife. You have to pretty much throw it out the window in a sense that this is a flipper and this is a Chris Reeve knife. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you look at this knife, let's take the topic of smoothness, okay? When we take the topic of smoothness and we're talking about a regular flipper knife, we're talking about the return of the action and how well it closes, whether we can shake it close or whether it will fall shut. We use those attributes with a knife like this because it is defined as a flipping knife. This one is not a flipping knife, but it still has a smoothness, but it has a different defined version of smoothness. This is more of a hydraulic smoothness. So therefore you cannot necessarily hate this knife because it's not like this knife. It's a completely different animal altogether. So when Chris Reeve talks about smoothness, he's talking about his version of smoothness, which is actually hydraulic, which is why when you guys go on YouTube and you check out Nick Shabazz's video on this knife, the Spyderco Switchblade, which, by the way, is a flipping knife and is also a knife that can have the same attributed properties and concept of smoothness as a regular flipper like this, because it does act in that fashion, doesn't it? And you can whip it out pretty quick, right? But when Nick Shabazz refers to this knife, when he always says that it's as smooth as a Sebenza, it's got that same hydraulic feel as this Sebenza 21. It's got the same hydraulic feel. But yet this knife is looked at by us as one of these knives. So there's the misconception right there. So things like smoothness, Chris Reeve has a different definition of it. That's one. Secondly, let's talk about what else Chris Reeve does with his knives. He does something with his knives that most of these production companies, and we're not talking about custom knives anymore. We're just talking about regular production knives, where Chris Reeve will guarantee the satisfaction of your knife, that it will not fail. And if it fails, you can send it in any time and get it fixed. His knives pretty much have a lifetime warranty. Forever. That's what Chris Reeve offers. He offers the forever warranty. These guys don't. I mean, whatever warranties these guys have, it's limited. So it's not like if I break the knife 10 years from now, I can send this off to Spartaco, or 20 years from now, I can send it out to Spartaco and I'll get a completely brand new one. That's not the case with this Spartaco Swish Bowie. It is, however, the case with any of the knives you see on the table made by Chris Reeve. He guarantees that the knife will perform to perfection. Unless you do what I did to one of his knives, which is actually get the thing anodized, or you get the knife changed in some fashion. I mean, if you look at my Sebenza 25, they do not make a gold and blue Sebenza 25. It doesn't exist. I had mine anodized by a friend, so now I have changed the configuration of the knife, so now the knife will not be honored by Chris Reeve, and that's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I can live with that. Same with this knife. I got this one anodized in blue and gold as well by a friend of mine named Josh, and he did a fantastic job on it. But yeah, this knife no longer has that warranty that was promised when you order the knife. But pretty much, these guys here, yeah, if they break or if the blade breaks, no charge, send it in, and you are now worry-free. And also, the other thing regarding Chris Reeve knives is that he has what's called a spot treatment, which I think is really kind of cool. If you leave the knife in its original configuration, you can send the knife in to be cleaned up. And I'm telling you, when I mean cleaned up, they actually get it back to its original condition. The knife will look brand spanking new. They'll redo all the inlays on the knife. They're going to redo the pocket clip. Whatever scratches are on there, those scratches will be gone. Free of charge. Free of charge. You're not going to get that with this knife, are you? So if I beat this knife to death and I use it to death, am I going to get a brand new one? No, I'm not. It's not going to happen. They just don't have that possibility. So the other things that about Chris Reeve knives that are probably frustrating to the average consumer are all the limitations that Chris Reeve puts on his knives as far as what the concept of a knife is. In a lot of ways, it can frustrate a lot of us knife buyers, but we have to stop thinking of Chris Reeve knives as a knife that operates and works in a fashion like this. It's just not. If you're going to do that, then you're going to hate Chris Reeve knives forever. But if you understand what the man is trying to do and what he does, then you can appreciate his knives for what they are. Because I think the most frustrating thing about Chris Reeve knives is you don't have any choices. It's not like, well, can I have ball bearings on my Chris Reeve knife? No, you can't have ball bearings. I hate ball bearings. Basically, if you order a Chris Reeve knife, you have to accept the terms of what he defines as a superior knife on his terms. not yours. And he is the only knife maker that I know that is able to do that. I don't know of any other knife makers. Usually they're out there to satisfy the customer and give them what they want. Chris Reeve doesn't necessarily do that. Chris Reeve gives you what he wants to give you, but he's going to give you superior workmanship. He's going to give you the stand behind his product concept. He's going to give you the best of what he's got. And you're going to have to accept it on those terms. And it's because his knives have those values that he has survived for such a long, long time. If you want to get yourself a no-problem knife, a high-quality knife, a knife that cannot be defined, then Chris Reeve Knives are the one for you. But keep in mind, when you go after Chris Reeve Knives, you're getting the concept of a knife based on his terms, not yours. And he believes that if you see the value in what he has to offer you, you'll keep coming back again and again and again. I mean, his knives are what they are. Probably another thing that frustrates people about Chris Reeve Knives is that he doesn't even have as many models, nor does he come out with new models every year. In fact, Chris Reeve comes out with a new model maybe once every 10 years. I mean, it took Chris Reeve leaving his own company for them to turn this into the Sabenza 31, and instead of it having two separate inlays, now it's got one giant inlay in the middle, and I believe it has a ceramic detent ball. I think that's the only change that he made on the knife, and that's not even anything that anyone was even asking for. But you know, his son was taking over the company. He wanted to signal that he was now going to be the face of Chris Reeve Knives. He had to do something, but unfortunately, his success will always be his father's success, because whatever changes he makes to the knives, they're so minimal that any of us that love knives or are looking for maybe one or two attributes that we find in a knife like this to somehow integrate itself into one of the 6 that you see here on the table. And it's just not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen. The changes I see moving forward with Chris Reeve Knives, maybe better inlays, who knows, maybe thicker titanium or maybe thinner titanium. Very, very minimal changes to the Chris Reeve experience on any of these knives, because Chris Reeve Knives have lasted for so long. The man's been in business since, what, 1978, I think? You know, he is just he is on the same category, in a sense, as these big companies like Spyderco, like Zero Tolerance, like CRKT. He's on the same level, but he's his own brand. He is redefining the concept of a knife, and you have to accept what this man does. So anything like smoothness or anything like action, you're going to have to look in the Chris Reeve dictionary to find satisfaction as to what that is when you buy one of his knives. Because if you're not doing that, and you're going to attribute all the properties of this knife into here, unfortunately, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So my best bet for all of you guys out there, that if you're looking to get a Chris Reeve knife, go ahead and look into getting a Chris Reeve knife. But keep in mind, you have to understand that these knives are a completely different animal, and you cannot attribute the same values of a regular flipping knife that you would to these. These are undefined, so undefined that, you know, we see a knife like this and we know it's production. Okay, you see a Chris Reeve knife, it's got custom properties. The knife is made like a custom. You know, all the parts are made in shop. It's it's made at a very high speed production. He uses the latest technology to make his knives. That's almost like a mid-tech. So his knives can't be defined as custom. They can't be defined as mid-tech. They can't be defined as production. Again, that frustrates you, right? It's just Chris Reeve. And when you're a man who makes a product that's undefinable, I think you can pretty much call that success if people keep coming back again and again and again, if they get it. If they get it. So, in conclusion, if you like the idea of what Chris Reeve has to offer, if you like, or better yet, if you like Chris Reeve's definition of a knife, of a superior quality knife, and you already own one, then you need to put this in a different compartment in your head than a knife like this, because it's not the same animal. These knives can be compared with other knives because they share the same attributes, and these knives were made differently. They have different attributes to them. They are seen differently. Everything about the way this knife is made is different. And I think that's probably the best way I could define Chris Reeve. And again, I probably have failed. But if you guys understand what I'm talking about, whether you own Chris Reeve or whether you don't own Chris Reeve, what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to buy one of these knives, buy this knife or buy a Chris Reeve knife on its own terms. On its own terms. Don't buy a Chris Reeve knife based on the terms of a regular folding knife, or not a regular folding knife, but a folding knife in the sense that we know the idea of what a folding knife is. Because Chris Reeve is hoping that you'll like his idea of what he believes we think this is. So if you like this, then you're going to have to change gears and empty your mind when you receive to get one of these. I think that's all I could say. You can't compare. You just can't compare. They are different animals entirely. Because people have seen this knife a lot and they go, well, it's not exactly drop shut. It wasn't meant to drop shut. It was meant to have Chris Reeve's definition of smoothness, which is that hydraulic that we get. I mean, again, that's why Nick Shabazz keeps saying, well, my Spyderco Swiss Bowie is as smooth as a Sebenza. And actually it is. It's as smooth as a Sebenza, and in many cases it's actually smoother. But again, when I'm saying the knife is smoother, you know, I'm attributing the fact that the knife has closed shut action of some type, right? This one does not have closed shut action of any type. This one has a hydraulic smoothness, right? So, and this is really the only knife out there that uses that term called hydraulic. I don't know of any other knife out on the market where the smoothness is defined as hydraulic. Just Chris Reeve. So there you have it. Again, Chris Reeve does things the way he does them, and he's hoping you find value in what he does. And if you don't, then definitely go back to getting one of these, because as long as Chris Reeve Knives exists, I will guarantee you this knife will never become anywhere near as close as near to what this is. I don't want to say as close, because again, they're completely different in every aspect. I mean, there's nothing similar that you can find in either one of these two folders that you'd find in these knives. It's just not going to happen. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, hoping I've shed some light on Chris Reeve Knives in some little sense, or maybe I wasn't making any sense at all. But again, in closing, if you are going to consider getting a Chris Reeve knife, consider getting one and, basically just accept the knife for what it is, which is a very, very high quality folding knife. That is the only attribute that you can put towards Chris Reeve Knives, that they are a very, very high quality folding knife, but they are a high quality folding knife, not on the terms of any knives like this, but on Chris Reeve's terms, in the sense that he has defined what he thinks a knife is, and he really hopes that you will agree. So this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off, hoping you'll find one of these 6 Chris Reeve knives in your collection. If you were to ask me personally, I would definitely go with the Mumzon, because this one, while this one is kind of false shut the way we like it to be, but even still, it's not. But it's somewhere between that hydraulic feel and what you're looking for as far as it like the false shut action. I would definitely go for this one if you're into that. But otherwise, yeah, stick with the classic. Sebenza 21. Go for that experience. You'll find it's a fantastic folding knife. This thing cuts like crazy. The titanium on this thing is just so freaking thick. It's uncanny. Uncanny. So, that's all I have to say about Chris Reeve Knives. I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. I'll see you guys in my next video. Hopefully my next video will actually be a review of a new knife. And maybe, just maybe, and I doubt it, I might actually do a real honest-to-goodness unboxing where you and I will look at the knife together for the first time. But I'm a knife nut, guys. Don't hold me to that, because, when I get a knife, man, I want to see what that goddamn thing looks like right off the bat. I'm not interested in doing a video. I want to look at my piece. So, this is Omar, the Knife Shark Guy, signing off. Hoping you'll find one of these Chris Reeve knives in your future. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a fantastic Friday evening.